What's up, math brainiacs? Welcome back to Arithmophilia. Don't forget to subscribe. For today's video, we are going to discuss sum of finite geometric sequence. But before that, let us be guided of our objectives for today. The following are the things that we need to achieve at the end of this video tutorial. First, determine the sum of the finite geometric sequence, and second, solve real-life problem involving finite geometric sequence. Without further ado, let's now start our discussion, starting with the definition and formula to be used for sum of finite geometric sequence. When we say finite geometric sequence, it is the sum of the first n terms of a geometric sequence which is given by the formula S sub n is equal to a sub 1 times the quantity 1 minus r raised to n all over 1 minus r, where a sub 1 is the first term, and r is the common ratio, which should not be equal to 1. This time, for us to better understand this concept, let's consider the following examples. Example number 1. What is the sum of the first 8 terms of the geometric sequence, 3, 6, 12, 24, 48, and so on? In solving this problem, we will be following 3 steps. First, we need to identify the missing and given values. We have a sub 1 equals 3, and which is equal to 8, and the common ratio is 3. And we are looking for the value of s sub 8. Second step, we need substitute all the given values to our formula. This gives us s sub 8 equals 3 times the quantity of 1 minus 3 raised 8 all over 1 minus 3. For our final step, we will now start to solve for the missing value. Let's start with s sub 8 equals 3 times the quantity of 1 minus 6561, which comes from 3 raised to 8 all over negative 2, as the difference of 1 and 3. Next, we will subtract 1 by 6561, which will give us negative 6560. So, we now have s sub 8 equals 3 times negative 6560 over negative 2. Followed by s sub 8 equals negative 19,680, as the product of 3 and negative 6,560, divided by negative 2. For our final answer, we will just simply divide negative 19,680 by negative 2. This gives us the quotient of 9,840. Therefore, the sum of the first 8 terms of the given geometric sequence is 9,840. Are all these clear, brainiacs? Let's now proceed to our second example. Find the sum of the first 6 terms of the geometric sequence 3, negative 6, 12, negative 24, and so on. In solving this problem, we will first identify all the given and missing values. We have a sub 1 equals 3, and which is equal to 8, the common ratio is negative 2, if we divide negative 6 by 3. And we are looking for the value of s sub 6. Second step, we need to substitute all the given values to our formula. This gives us s sub 6 equals 3 times the quantity of 1 minus negative 2 raised to 6 all over 1 minus negative 2. Moving on to our final step, we will now start solving the missing value, which is s sub 6. Let's start with s sub 6 equals 3 times the quantity of 1 minus 64. Note that 64 comes from negative 2 raised to 6 all over 3, as the difference of 1 and negative 2. Next we will subtract 1 by 64, which will give us negative 63. So, we now have s sub 6 equals 3 times negative 63 all over 3. For our final answer, here, we can directly cancel out both 3 in the numerator and denominator, thus, giving us negative 63 as the result. Therefore, the sum of the first 6 terms of the given geometric sequence is negative 63. Did you get it, class? If yes, let us now have an activity. For you to practice your newly learned skill on determining the sum of finite geometric sequence, try to do this task on your own in your notebook. Perform the activity entitled, Something to Do, by finding the sum for each geometric sequences. Good luck, brainiacs. This time, let's us try to ask ourselves on how can knowledge on sum of finite geometric sequence will help us analyze and solve real-life problems and make our decisions. Let's go and see. For Theo application. For his birthday, Dexter wanted to buy a smartphone that cost 6,000 pesos. He decided to save money and started with 500 pesos on the first week, 550 pesos on the second week, 605 pesos on the third week, and so on. If this goes on, how much would Dexter's total savings be on the 8th week? Is it enough to buy him the smartphone? Let's start solving this problem, Brainiacs. In solving this problem, we will first identify all the given values. We have there, a sub 1 equals 500, n which is equal to 8, the common ratio is equal to 11 over 10, or 1.1. That is the quotient when we divide 550 by 500. Next, let us substitute the given values and start solving for the missing term. We now have, s sub 8 equals 500, times the quantity of 1 minus 1.1, raised to the power of 8, all over 1, minus 1.1. Next, we obtain s sub 8, equals 500, times the quantity of 1, minus 2.14. Note that, 2.14 comes from 1.1 raised to 8, all over negative 0.1, as the difference of 1 and 1.1. Next we will subtract 1 by 2.14, which will give us negative 1.14 inside our parenthesis. So, we now have s sub 8, equals 500, times negative 1.14, all over negative 0.1. Followed by, s sub 8 equals negative 570, as the product of 500 and negative 1.14, divided by negative 0.1. For our final answer, we will just simply divide negative 570 by negative 0.1. This gives us the quotient of 5,700. Therefore, Dexter must have saved 5,700 pesos for the whole 8 weeks, and this is still not enough to buy him a smartphone. So, that concludes our problem for today. Before ending this lesson, please take note of this. For you to measure your previously learned understanding on the sum of finite geometric sequence, you can answer the 10-item test that I have prepared for you on my quizzes.com account. How? Just search or click the link in the video description below. Enjoy! This ends our lesson for today. Thank you, Brainiacs. See you on our next episode.